Hello people, I'm hoping you can all see me. This is gonna seriously out there. Let's have a chat, shall we? I'm gonna wait for a few more people to kick in. Hopefully I'll be able to see them. I'm doing this on my laptop. Yeah, Lindsay of the Stantons. Hello darling. Gav. Jamal. Battles. You're going to have to I can't apologise enough, Jamal. I can't do the last two. It's because I'm a South Londoner. And South Londoners have got a vocabulary problem. Well, actually, we haven't got a vocabulary problem. It keeps being pointed out to me that I can't pronounce certain words. Well, I can tell you, I've got most of my teeth, yeah? And that's simply my accent. And to be fair, I don't give a monkeys. Right, people, look at this. Look, they're steaming on board now. We have now got 43. If I get up to a bit more than that, I'll be happy. But I'm happy to have more than two. And I'm certainly more happy than have the one that I had earlier. Do you know why? I'm thinking to myself, why have I only got, what's this only one here? And then I looked and it said only me. How thick is that? Right? But it made me click on something to say public. And I'm scratching my head thinking, I've never seen that before, and it was only on me. Anyway, joke was on me as well. So I was talking to myself live on Facebook for about 5 minutes before I realised I was talking to myself, literally, right? You can't get madder than that, can you? Right, people, I just want to say to you, again, we have crowdfunding what's going on Monday. Now, Monday we are going to be putting in the judicial review. The government are going to be notified that it's going in. I can tell you now, it took me a long time. And to be fair, when I say long time, I mean solid work of research, looking up cases, looking up case law, looking up all the references. And there was a video that I watched of Diana Rose QC, and she's one of the top civil rights lawyers. There's a number of people out there that I've sent it to. They've seen the video and they was as fascinated as I was, and it was about the Magna Carta. And there was a historian there, which was David, and someone else will give me his name in a minute. It's the famous one that lives down in Kent, basically. And a couple of other people. But in the audience, there were also ministers, there were a number of distinguished guests, not only in the audience, but also on the panel. And on the panel, one of the people being David Starkey, and Diana Rose, which she is a lovely person. So that has also in some ways given me inspiration. Why does it give me inspiration? Because as I said to a couple of other people, I watch thousands of videos, right? That TV thing I've got in the corner, I do not watch. It's not even connected, yeah? The only thing I may do is sometimes I'll connect this laptop up to it to watch films or videos if I can sit there in a bit more comfort and watch them. To give myself a bit of entertainment, I watch a few of the Tommy Cooper old ones. Just to give myself a laugh and a bit of a lift. But the main thing for people to understand is I do a lot of research. All these officials in Parliament and etc. and most of these MPs have got no life experience whatsoever. All they've ever done is research. All they've ever done is looked on the internet to find out what's going on in the world. They don't actually experience it themselves. Well, I do experience life myself. You all know, or most of you that know me, know that, you know, at one stage I had £1 million worth of assets, £80,000 a year, salaried, plus bonuses, plus everything, you know. And I've got most of that pure graft. I mean, literally working 8 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week, never really switching off, yeah. And eventually, things happened in my life, which I'm not going to go into, but I ended up on my arse. And the system was built by people in this country to help people that did end up on their arse, or for some reason were disadvantaged in some way. Because the English, bar anything, are known for their fairness and kindness. But when we turn, right? and we have now got a turning point in the English history, and we are going to take back control of this country. We're going to take it back for the people that need to be cared for that need to be helped, and that includes people with disabilities, that includes the people that have put millions in taxes into this country and then fell on their arse and need a bit of help, and they ain't getting it, right? We are definitely, this judicial review, as I said when I was talking to myself, if I was a judge, a High Court judge, and I received this judicial review in front of me, and it was presented to me at the High Court, I would be thinking to myself, why didn't I call in and have a sickie today? Or what, you know, why has this got to sit on my lap? Again, watching Diana Rose and David, there are a lot of things that I've learned, you know, throughout. There's a lot of research that's gone into it. If you speak to Davey, every time more or less he's rung me up, I've been working on that case, and it's been like I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, work on the case, and next thing you know it's 12 o'clock at night and I've gone back to bed, get up in the morning, work on it again. So no one can say that we ain't put enough work into this. Trust me, I have. And there's been lots of comments that some have been a bit strange, some have been, and most I may say, have been very, very, very good comments. Yeah. The difference is, and I've spoke about this before, I am an advocate of what's known as open source engineering, open source programming, open source engineering, where it's not controlled by the corporates, that the people, actually the engineers themselves, come together and they engineer something for the people. Therefore, it can't be sold to someone else. It's owned by, it's us, it's our labour, it's our mental ability that have created that. And I've got to be honest with you, this judicial review feels exactly like that. The more support I'm getting off of people, the more crowdfunding is absolutely fantastic. It's given me so much confidence. Not that I lack confidence, but anyone who walks into the High Court on their own and says, oh, by the way, I want to speak to a High Court judge, it does take a little bit of bottle, not massively. Don't get me wrong. It's not one of the, it's not as if they're going to put you in prison, or you know someone's going to shoot you. Well, then again they might. But the whole point of what I'm trying to say to you is that judicial review is ready, and you have all assisted with that. Not only in helping me, pointing out little things sometimes on the private messages, personal support, and what you're doing online by sharing these videos, by bringing people into this and them understanding why we're doing this. Yeah, it is fantastic. This is truly open source democracy. It's open source law, which is what common law is. Yeah, because common law always falls back to the people. It used to always fall back to a grand jury, which was 25 good men and true, that used to listen to a case if it was on a constitutional element, right? So one of the things in the future is we are going back to that. Trust me, we're going back to that. It's the only way to stop tyranny, is when we are in control at the highest level of law, right? So first of all, I want to say that it is ready. All I've got to do now is format it, which I'm not looking forward to. It's formatted to a large extent, but all the information needed is in there. The things that I rely on are the Bill of Rights 1688, which came into effect in 1689. Also the Magna Carta at various levels. I want people to understand something when I talk about the Magna Carta and those in our judiciary that are suggested that they follow common law or are taking an oath to common law, etc., say, oh, that's been repealed, right? The most important thing about the Magna Carta is it was a peace treaty. It can never be repealed. Two, it states, and in Latin I may add, in perpetuity. What does in perpetuity mean? Well, it means forever. So I just want anyone that understands plain English, I'm asking you now, right, what part of forever can be repealed? Simple question. Because that will be put to the judge, right? At the end of the day, if they consider that they can take our rights off of us, right, then they've got a serious, serious problem. And like I said earlier, the English are the fairest of them all. And why, people, you've got to understand something here. The reason why the English are known to love animals, do you know why that is? Because the English over centuries, literally centuries, going back over 1,000 years, were known as farmers. We didn't slaughter animals, we were arable farmers. And we allowed people into our country that were in wars. And at one point in Europe, there was wars for 400 years, right? Non-stop. Different people fighting, but that non-stop war. And we allowed people to cross the channel. Sometimes they come across the channel in rafts with their oxen and with their seed. And when they landed on our shores, we said, that's fine. Don't bring your war with you, yeah? Find a piece of land. If no one else is on it and no one else is using it, you have set foot in England, and England is your country, as long as you are at peace with us, right? And they used to go away. Now, people don't understand that it used to be the Scots, the Welsh and the Irish that used to raise animals for slaughter. The English, yeah, used to raise animals to help on the farm. For example, horses. If we did do anything with pigs or anything else, we had forests, for example, which were running alive with pigs, which were given laws to the pigs, believe it or not, to give them the right of the forest so they could forage and feed. And people had the right to go into the forest and blow a horn, yeah, as long as they weren't stealing it. So if they was hungry, they could take a pig, but they blow a horn to show people they wasn't stealing it, right? This is all factual, by the way. So anyway, cut a long story short, on that side, the reason why the English are known to love animals is because, in effect, over centuries, that's been part of what we do. Right? We farm. We are mainly arable farmers, and the word animal husbandry comes from the English language because of the English and what we did in farming and looking after animals. I absolutely will not condone any form of cruelty to animals whatsoever. I absolutely adore and love horses. They are one of the greatest animals that God put on this earth. They are the most kind-natured animal. They have got no weapons against us. In other words, they haven't got claws, they haven't got fangs, they haven't got any of that. They was made for one thing, and that is fight or flight in that way. They can only flight. That's why they was made to run. Yeah, and obviously I've done a lot of I've done 265 lessons with Monty Roberts, who is the horse whisperer. Just to give you my opinion on what's going on and a lot of the stuff that's going on with, yes, you guessed it, halal, I'm not going to tolerate it. And nor should you. There are a number of other reviews that we're doing after this. This is the first of 4, possibly 5. The second one I'm going to start working on almost immediately. That's just as powerful, trust me, right? But this first one is about the right to keep and bear arms. Now, before anyone gets panicky on that, I want you to understand that prior to 1920, we had arms. We could just walk in a pub and buy a gun with ammunition, didn't need any police certificate. You could buy it off your mate at a bar, yeah. The things that were frowned upon and not outlawed were blunderbusses. Now, blunderbuss was carried, believe it or not, by the Crown on stagecoaches to defend the Royal Mail. A blunderbuss is what I would describe in today's terms, yeah, as an extremely offensive, not defensive weapon. And the reason I say that is because it's the equivalent of today of a sawn-off shotgun, because you've got a spread, yeah. So if you pull the trigger, if you've got one person in front of you who is being violent and threatening your life or limb, or causing you loss, harm and injury to such an extent that you have to do something, yeah. So in other words, just pointing at the person and saying stop don't work, yeah. If you've got a blunderbuss or if you've got a sawn-off shotgun, what happens if there's 5 people either side of that person who's got nothing to do with that event, and you pull that trigger, you have then engaged all of them in that action. That, to me, is not a defensive weapon. Whereas a firearm is, a firearm is directional. It is a single bullet event, if you like. I am not condoning the use of automatic firearms. They are military weapons. That's not what I'm about either. So there's a couple of things that we need to know about what it is that we're doing. First of all, the right to keep and bear arms. I think you need to understand something. There's a book here, and a couple of the people that listen to my live feeds and have engaged with us on Motivate Radio, fm.co.uk, have actually gone out, and I'm really pleased that they have, especially Donny, darling. You've gone out and bought this book. Now, what this book actually, let me try and turn it to the camera, you can see it, yeah? More Guns, Less Crime, yeah? Understanding Crime and Gun Control Laws, 3rd edition. This guy from America has wrote this book. It's in its 3rd edition. Let me tell you something, it's absolutely fascinating, right? Because what he tells you is that there is a correlation to an extreme drop in violent crime when in the States of America they have reintroduced and brought in what's known as non-discretionary, concealed carry. Concealed carry means a small firearm which is concealed for you to carry it. The greatest equaliser for women is a gun, yeah? The murder rate of women dropped dramatically, I mean massively, and especially women that are involved with any sort of nasty relationship issues, yeah? Women, trust me, you need to be on this. Rapes absolutely tumbled. Violent crime, sexual assaults, violent assaults against a person absolutely tumbled. Now, what you've got to remember is, when you read through this book, which is in its 3rd edition, yeah, this guy started out as someone who was absolutely against guns. And over the last 30 years, he said, listen, people, we're being conned. Yeah, the actual facts and statistics prove that guns and non-discretionary concealed carry actually means that violent crime plummets. Yeah, so what does that mean to you? Well, I'll tell you what it looks at and why I look at things, and I think to myself, why did they bring in the firearms laws? Well, I'll tell you why they did. Because they were in the same phases of tyranny as we are today. The people who'd come back from the First World War were fully armed and could see that they had been slaughtered, yeah, by the elites, and they weren't happy. There was also rebellion in the 1914-18 war, which is never reported on. If you go and Google it, you'll see it. The government at the time was very worried that the people would turn the firearms on them, right? Well, first of all, I'm not going to do that, and I know you're not going to do that, because we believe in the rule of law, no loss, no harm, no injury. But that said, prior to any genocide in the world, they de-arm the population, right? So we, for the first time in our history, are de-armed. Don't like that, mate. I'm telling you now. And we need to stand up. And not only that, we need to stand up for the women, we need to stand up for our children, and we need to make sure that this does go ahead. To give you a bit more information on this, and again, thanks for those who have actually gone out and read that book on my recommendation. There is another book here which is called Does the Trigger Pull the Finger? This book is written by an English guy. His name is Richard Laws and Peter Brooksmith. Basically, that's a fantastic book. Yeah, that really spells out all of what's happened, the history and behind the licensing, and the fact that licensing in this country is in complete disarray. One of the things that I need to put to people is this. People often bring up Dunblane and they say all them kids was murdered by a guy who had a firearm. Well, there's people being murdered all the time, even by vehicles, not just in this country and not just under the tag of Islam, by the way. If people want to kill people, they'll find a way to do it, whether it's with a firearm or not. And the reality is there is much more likelihood that that person can be stopped and stopped quickly by others lawfully if they carry concealed firearms. That's factual. That's been proven and that's been shown in America. I can actually prove to the court how many lives could have been saved by concealed carry in this country. I can actually prove that from the ONS figures that I'm getting. There are a number of other things that I can prove. How many women would not have been raped? How many women would not have been terrified to stay in relationships because the concealed carry firearm is a great equaliser. I actually respect women, and I respect that they have the right to carry a firearm, that they have the right to protect themselves and their children, and I do not believe they will abuse that right. And you've got to look at the fact that there may have been 16 children murdered. I understand that in Dunblane, but in the same time period we would have saved 50 odd lives from murder by having concealed carry. And then you've got to look at the number of people from concealed carry that would not have been attacked, that would not have been. There are lots of other reasons why, but I want people to think about this. I want you to like and share this video because it's an important thing that I'm trying to get over to you. What happens if crime rate falls? What industry is affected the most? What government department loses the most money? What government department gets the most money at the moment? Is it the justice system? Is it the prison system? Is it the private prison system as they've got in America? On various occasions they've talked about 3 strikes and you're out, etc. You may or may not agree with that. But for me, why would you have a 3 strikes and you're out? If you've got a system in place where you educate people in prisons, where you allow people to learn, where you allow people to do what's actually stated in law, which is the 3 R's: retribution, rehabilitation and reflection. That is the 3 R's. That's what you're sentenced for. Currently, the only thing you've got is retribution. Now, you may think that's a great thing, you may think that's the right thing to do, but it's not what you're sentenced for. So, again, it seems that the government want recidivism. They want people to reoffend. Why? Because their whole system of tyranny, their whole system of money-making, their farming of criminality, it just increases. What happens when you have the right to bear arms is that violent crime drops. If murders drop, if rapes drop, if violent assaults drop, if all of the crimes that give you the longest sentence in prison falls, what happens? It means the judiciary, the solicitors, the lawyers lose their fees. Why? Because they're not needed. They're not needed for defence. They're not needed for prosecution. Yeah? The prison system population would start to literally go down and down and down, and you'd be using the prison system and the people of this realm to educate and teach those who have gone astray, yeah, into the natural justice side of our laws, and say, listen, we didn't want to put you in there, but you've offended against our laws and our common law, and it's the only thing that we could do. But the second thing I will say to you is this: as part of the next stream of events for this country, and this is a core theme of what I'm putting, I talk for the rule of law. No loss, no harm, no injury. And for me to discuss that and think about that and talk about with that, it is common law that's under attack. Yeah, it is the legalese system that wants people like me and you, like your children, your grandchildren, or anyone. Someone out there must know someone who's been arrested or even been to prison, right? At the end of the day, the court system as it currently is now is completely contrary to our rule of law in common law. The only reason you should be fined or sent to prison is if you have been put before your peers. Now, that system can be brought back and will be brought back, and it can be brought back for 2 reasons. One is because the right to bear and keep arms will mean that the system itself will start to be reduced. That means there's less pressure on the system, we can reincorporate rehabilitation, and we can start looking at the causes of why these people have turned, right? As simple as that. Now, I am not, and I want people to trust me on this, I am not soft on crime. Yeah, there are things within my political sphere, if you like. I am a civil nationalist. There are some things on the left that I absolutely adore. There are some things on the right. I absolutely believe that the children's rights and women's rights are at the top of the agenda. Those who are more vulnerable need to be protected by the stronger, right? And I'm stronger. At one stage in my life I was vulnerable. I was mentally ill and I needed help. And then people stepped in and helped me, right? I am now back in full fighting form, trust me, right? And now I'm looking at life and thinking, you know, saying we've got to stand up for the people in this country and we've got to make it right. So, just to let you know, the right to keep and bear arms, again, if you can be loving this as much as you can, liking it and sharing it, because I need people to understand why we're doing this. This is not just about firearms. This is about our rights as people. This is about our rights as English men and women, right? You need to understand that. This is about common law. This is about us being able to protect ourselves from tyranny if needed. God allowed that, yeah? And I'm telling you now, one of the things that we need to protect about, you know, I'm seeing more and more and more of this, is animal cruelty and animal slaughter. Not only halal, yeah, but halal is one of those things that is absolutely barbaric and it has to stop in this country. We have never allowed it and we never should have allowed it, right? Now, we need to step in, and we will be, trust me. There's some judicial reviews going in that will protect animals, and you're going to love this, people, I'm telling you, because I love animals, and I'm telling you now, I am not tolerating it, right? And the more of you that back us, the more people will see in this country. Don't turn the English and don't turn them around an animal, I'm telling you, because you will lose. And that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to turn this around for everybody, and that includes God's creatures, right? The thing I want to say to people is this, in reference to animal cruelty. I have noted, and people have been sending me, and I have seen the videos on a number of issues in this country where dogs in particular that are hated by a certain religion and certain types of people are being poisoned and killed. Yeah, that will not be tolerated in any way whatsoever. We will put together evidence if we can. Again, we're up against a police force that will not investigate it with respect. They won't investigate child rape and child slavery and female mutilation, genital mutilation. So what chance have we got of them actually investigating the fact that they're poisoning our dogs as well? So there are things that's going on. I want people to know, I do watch your videos that you send me. If they're short, if they're too long, most of them, to be fair, the good ones I've already seen, and that shouldn't surprise you. But I do want people to send me links. But don't just send me a link. You need to explain to me what the video's about. Right? I don't mean loads and loads of, you know, paragraphs and actually talk me through the video. I just mean give me an indication of what that video is about. If I send something to someone, I don't just say watch this video or just send them the link. What I actually do is say this is a video about bang and this is why I think it may interest you. Right? And, you know, it caught my interest and I was absolutely gobsmacked. You know, things just, you need, if you want me to what say, you need to, and I don't mind because that's education and we're here to educate each other, and this is what this is about, and this is what this live feed is about. So again, I'm going to thank to all those people that are watching and listening. I'm going to go through a couple of comments before I move on to the Magna Carta, and there was another thing that I was going to talk about, Article 50, Rule of Law, right to keep and bear arms, Judicial Review. The Judicial Review we've covered. What I do want to tell you, and I forgot to tell you this, part of the Judicial Review, I've actually put in there a number of things. Guess what? Human Rights Act, 1998, which is heard in this country now. There are a number of items that I've placed in that judicial review, so it doesn't just rely on our constitutional law. I've now said that I want this looked at as well, because they're suggesting that that is one of the things that they definitely look at and they'll take seriously. So let me tell you something, people. If you really want to see a case that can give someone an headache, it's this one, right? Good evening to everybody out there. Alan, I'm going to give a shout out to people. Dave Roberts, how you doing, my friend? Alan Stephen, Cocaine. Yvonne Black. Hello, darling. Carol Bevan. Hello, darling. How are you? Peter Williams. Steve Charles. David Morris. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of who's on there at the moment, and all of you, I absolutely appreciate everything that you do and all the sharing. I have actually got someone trying to ring me at the moment. I can't believe that. Right, I have just knocked that one straight out, and I'm going to carry on talking to you. Hopefully they don't ring me again. Only when I'm online. Right, so, also, Dawn. Yes, you know who you are, Miss Dunn. Hello, gorgeous, all the way up. Right, decline. Right, thank you very much, and what we're going to do now, again, I just want to talk to you and make sure that you understand that this is about 100%, that this is not just about guns, it's about our rights, but it's also about the protection and another number of issues, yeah? And no one is expecting anyone to be running around with a gun shooting people. That is not the objective. It's about having the right to self-defence. Yeah, and that basically God give you that right. No one can take that right away from you, whether they like it or not. So we're now going to go on to Article 61 of the Magna Carta. How's it going? Well, I've got to tell you something. Loads and loads and loads of people are doing it. Loads and loads of people are sending off that paperwork. I've got no issues with people sending me details and asking me questions. Right, so the first thing I want to say to people is this, right? There is no such thing as a silly question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. The person who asks questions and is brave enough to ask a question, obviously I want you to watch the videos and pick everything up. There is going to be some more websites. You need to go on to Practical Lawful Dissent. Most of the information's on there. It's also on their website. And it's got all the forms, it's got everything. Within reason, you need to be a little bit computer savvy to be able to work out what to do and what not to do. I've tried it to make it even more simpler, but just by creating PDFs, which I think they should do, and I'll be suggesting that later. So you've got a number of people there, Connor and Gary Robinson, both very eloquent in their descriptions, and we are going to be doing a number of things, hopefully. It is very, 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 very important that you do send information. I'm hoping that this video is not frozen. If you can give me loads of love hearts on the screen, I can see that you are actually hearing me, and you can hear me all right as well. There's no echo, and it isn't freezing up. I haven't got the high definition camera on, it's just a normal standard cam, and I've just got my normal Rode mic on, so hopefully you'll see everything. Right, so on the other side of the fence, can I just say, first of all, and I've forgotten where I am now because I've been through the list again. Keep listening, keep sharing, because I need people to understand where we're going. Magna Carta Article 61. This is a major issue. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in common law. I believe in no loss, no harm, no injury. If we was to run by them laws and them laws alone in this country, we would have a much better life. You don't need legalese. It is my opinion that the lower courts, in other words, the magistrates' courts, are corporate courts. They are fining people, they are imprisoning people without a jury. In my view, that is wrong. My view, that is treasonous towards the people and to the sovereign people that they seek to imprison. That is not to say that I do not believe in the judicial system in terms of a judge and a jury. I absolutely do, but it is everybody's right to go before a jury. You should be judged by your peers, not by some person sitting at a bench that thinks he is entitled to do what he... Well, I'm telling you now, he isn't. Right, so we need to change that. We need to bring the rights back for the people, not the other way round. So the Magna Carta Article 61, I want you to understand that our constitutional rights are, if you like, even if you looked at the spirit of the law and what they stand for and what they are, you have to understand one thing. The Magna Carta stated in various different articles, yeah, and its main body of text, that this is in perpetuity for our heirs. Yeah, so they're talking about us basically. Now, why is that important? Well, in perpetuity, for those who don't know, means forever. And you've got some judiciary that say this has been repealed. Some of our more narcissistic MPs are saying that's been repealed, and we've repealed it. I want them to tell me at what stage does a treaty or even statute, if it says it's in perpetuity, which means forever, can be repealed. Because as far as I can see, forever can't be repealed, right? And if you go by the spirit of the law and what it was there to protect, you understand. My personal view is the Human Rights Act is something that is additional. It is certainly not replacing the Magna Carta, Article 61, or any other part of the Magna Carta, 1215 onwards. There are a number of extra elements to it. But to be fair, they can't take away from that. I don't care what historians tell you, such as David Starkey. This is about the spirit of the law and what it actually meant. Yeah, and what it meant to the people and what it meant. One of the things that we need to go back to, and we will, but we need to get people behind this big time, right? So I want everyone to send off them documents to get them witnessed and get them signed off. You need to be in lawful rebellion. Someone else has sent me some links to a case where a guy decided to drive around with no number plates, no insurance, no MOT, etc. He got banned from driving. He didn't get a major fine. They said, you've got all the court case, etc. Nowhere in that article did it mention that the guy had sent off Magna Carta Article 61. That's the first thing. The second is this only works when enough numbers do it, and it certainly only works when the next stage of this for the barons, the more people that send this document off to them, the braver they will become. Bearing in mind, in 2001, a number of them was thrown out of the Lords. It caused a lot of problems for them, but they're still going to stand up for you, and that's exactly what they did. And they are hereditary peers. They're the peers that everyone's trying to get rid of. But yet, you don't understand, if you get rid of them, you cut, kill, stone dead common law, and our rights going back to the Magna Carta. So, do you want to get rid of hereditary peers? The answer is no, you don't, right? Because at the end of the day, they can stand up for us. Then the next phase of this, if enough people send off this document, one, you're in lawful rebellion. That's factual, right? People who go against you go against their oath. People who go against you are committing treason. That's fact. That's not fiction, right? The second thing you've got to understand is the more people send these documents to the barons, yeah, the more brave they will become. Once they become brave enough again to do this again for us, bear in mind the first time they did it, 750,000 people sent postcards to the Queen saying, do not sign the Nice Treaty as it would be treason, right? 750,000 people. Now what we've got to do is get a lot more people behind us, because the next phase of this is for the barons to act again. And the barons will bring back what's known as the grand jury, which is 25 good men and true. That means that we will hear our own treason cases. Now that worries the elite. I'll tell you for why. Because in common law you cannot repeal the sentence for treason. Right? Now you don't have to instruct it, you don't have to authorise it, but the penalty for treason is to be hung by the neck until you are dead. I don't want to kill people, but I've got no problem with what the Magna Carta says is the other option is to banish them from our lands. No issue with that whatsoever. There are people who have been treasonous to us and to the working class, to us for over a century, and we need to be able to take back control for our future generations, because we're the people who built this country, not them, right? So again, let's go on to that. Now I want to know, for people that do want to take action, first of all, you know what we're planning. You must start listening to Motivate Radio, and we'll go live to have a discussion on it. We are looking at a major event that will be a publicity bomb. that should get quite a bit of coverage all over the world, not just in the UK. In fact, it will probably get more coverage all over the world than it would in the UK, because the UK mainstream media, as you know, are conspiring against us, and that's factual. That's not, you can see what's going on with the BBC. It's laughable. Again, I don't watch TV, so I'm not interested. Right, so once we're in lawful rebellion and you've sent off the form, what you need to do is you need to be able to stop paying your BBC fees, for example, right to the HMRC. But this form in itself must first be sent to the barons. It must be signed, it must be witnessed, right? After you've done that, and you must keep copies of it, yeah, and you've sent it in registered, recorded delivery at the post office, you keep the receipt, yeah, that proves, because that's proof of service, right? Now what you do is, with your copies you've got, you keep that in one safe place, and then with the other copies you then start writing the letters to HMRC, to the BBC, to the council. With them copies, and you may need more and more and more copies of that, yeah, because that is what proves you are and your intent is to frustrate the Crown, yeah, to distrain the Crown, which is your lawful duty to do that. You must understand. This is not fantasy. This is not. And if you look up the case of the peers and the barons and Article 61, look it up. Actually Google it. It will come up. There's a Telegraph article that tells you all about it, right? So I don't care what these barristers are saying. I don't care what these judges are saying. If they are not standing on their oath, what do you expect? And the point is, we want people to stand on their oath. And no law should have been passed through either part of the House or assented to that affects our rights as English men and women, yeah? And that includes the Scots, the Welsh and the Northern Irish. So if they affect our constitutional rights, them laws should never have been passed. That's why this is such a big issue, right? That ain't my problem, that's their problem. But if you want to make it my problem, if we want to get rid of every single MP in the House of Commons, and if you want to do that, by the way, I'm hoping some people are going to come back to me. Right? And then people are going to come back to me, have started their own party. They are the veterans. No disrespect to them, they're probably absolutely inundated with messages. They haven't come back to me as such. With any sort of positive news. I'm not sure if people are aware, but I was going to start my own party, which was called the Six Star Movement, and it would have been the ultimate for the people, trust me. And they did the similar thing in Italy with the Five Star Movement. Some of you may have heard of that. Literally within 2 years they had people in Parliament, and they shocked the establishment. We could do that, and I think that we should. I think people should stand for the people. I'm fed up with politicians, and I'm sure you are. I'm fed up with the BBC. The first thing I would do, or one of the things I could do, if we took control of the Parliament, and I'm literally taking control of the Parliament, every one of our MPs need to be elected, so we have got carte blanche to put this country right. And we will do it, right? And it will never happen again. What's happening now will never happen again, and that's what people have got to look at and get involved with. So again, thank you very much. Keep sharing this. I am grateful for everyone that's contacted me. Hello Joshua, how you doing my son? Chris Patton, Thomas, Sarah. I'm going to go through some of these names. You've got Tony, Kelly, John Middleton, how you doing my son? Baron Pooley, how you doing mate? David Reed, John Middleton, Andrew Richards, Jim Binderman, Paul Grange. So you're all on there, and I'm really, really grateful for everyone. Tom Russell, how you doing, my son? That's what I like to hear. You crack on. Right, I'm hoping all the sound's coming through. Give me all ones if you can, if the actual sound quality is pretty good on this. If in the actual chat room or the comments part, and if you can give me loads of love arts, if the sound quality is good. Don't forget we've invested a lot of money in studio equipment, in mixers, in cameras, in everything, and we are going to work now, and we will be taking back control of this country, trust me, and we'll be using social media. My advice to people is we won't be, and I've advised this political party, don't even entertain the mainstream media. What you need to do is do exactly the same as Donald Trump and ignore them. Don't have your commentators on there. We'll do our own videos, we'll do our own discussions, and we've got plenty of people that we can do it. One of the things that I'm absolutely dismayed about is that there are a number of UKIP MPs, or MEPs I should say, because they haven't got any MPs, that are now blocking Raheem Kassam, which I find, which is the editor of London, Breitbart London. Raheem Kassam is an absolute patriot of this country, and for him to be blocked by UKIP MEPs who are taking a salary because they was voted in by UKIP supporters and patriots is an absolute disgrace. Anyone that blocks Raheem Kassam because of his views on this country and his open opinions about Anne-Marie Waters standing for leadership of UKIP. If you block him, I'm just disgusted, to be fair. And it is no wonder that UKIP's gone down a pan. You are no longer representing the people of this country. You are no different to any other political party. That's absolute fact. And all you're doing is wanting to carry on drawing your salary. You're doing exactly what all the other politicians are doing. No, thank you. No wonder you're losing support. UKIP's gone down a pan. Yeah, you had a job to do, you did it. We've got it. We're now moving on. The next phase is the rule of law. The rule of law. English law. No loss, no harm, no injury. We'll show the Marxists and the communists and the Antifa, who are not Antifa, they are actually fascists, yeah? We will show them how we're going to go to work now, right? Right, so again, Magna Carta, you fully understand what that's about, hopefully. You are more than welcome to send me different bits and pieces. I want people to understand. If you ask questions, if you send me direct messages, don't think I'm ignoring it, I'll get thousands of them, right? But I can root through most of them. I want you to understand something. Try and get on motivateradiofm.co.uk. My show is on a Tuesday night. It's called The Full English, as it would be. And I haven't had one today, no. I've been healthy today, I had cornflakes. Just to let you know, right? Anyone who asks me questions and speaks to me, you've got 100% respect for asking a question. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I'll tell you for why. Because people who ask questions are intelligent. The fact that they want to understand something and don't understand something and have asked a question to try and understand what you're talking about proves a point. That they are intelligent, that they are capable of critical thought, that they are capable of an improvement of an idea. That's exactly what the English were about. Don't be frightened to ask questions. Don't be frightened to do any of them things. But one thing I will say to you is don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the people that sit there and say, Magna Carta, that don't mean nothing. Well, let me tell you something, it means a lot. The Magna Carta is what we built the Commonwealth on. So if you want to say it don't mean nothing, there's 2.3 billion people that think it does, right? And let me tell you something, it's only the fascists and the Marxists that don't want common law. You must remember that. We are in a war with the communists and the fascists of this country, yeah? We are in a war with the Marxists that have been against stuff for well over 100 years, and we need to take them out of the game, lawfully, right? And all you do is you pick them up and you fuck them off. Right, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing. So the next part of what I'm going to be discussing is what? Our new website. And before I finish, I'm going to say this to you. I am absolutely delighted with every single person that has helped me, that has donated to this cause. We have got another three to do after this, and all I'm doing is standing as your barrister putting this forward. Now, there is a lady that we spoke to before. I'm not sure if she's listening to this, but she has been on Motivate Radio, that she is an absolute expert in halal. I need to speak to that lady again. I'll be speaking to boss man Davey. Unfortunately, he's got piles, so he's not feeling too well at the moment. You know, he's walking that funny walk when you do that funny walk, don't you? You know, when you got poles. So at the end of the day, I've distracted myself completely by talking about poles now. Right. I just want you to say that we have a new website. The website is www.motive8, and that's with an 8, radiofm.co.uk. It has been redesigned. It is currently playing on all platforms. That means iPads, iPhones, Apple Macs. It means computers. It means Androids. It means every single type of device. It means anyone can listen to our show. Now, there's a different part of the show every day of the week for different people. You've got Mark Howard that does the Ghost Hunter side and the spiritual stuff. You've got me on a Tuesday night with a full English, and trust me, sometimes I can go off onto a full rant about how and why I love this country and why I am tied to this country. By the grace of God, I was tied to this country at birth. I've got a birthright, and this country looks after me, and I look after this country. That is the deal, yeah? And people don't like it, go somewhere else, right? Because the English will look after this country, and they will look after their own, trust me. And it doesn't matter what colour you are, yeah? I'm not interested in what colour you are. Right, so the next thing I'm going to say to you is, if anyone can go on to motivateradiofm.co.uk, go on there. Even if you go on there previous to any shows that you want to watch, go on there. We are on Friday on the Rant Show. It looks like we're going to do a show from David Russell's garden, because it's the only place we can be where a number of us are going to be, and there's going to be a few of us in his garden. We're going to be live on Motivate talking about a number of different issues. Hopefully the wine will be flowing and there won't be too many issues. I mean, bearing in mind you're going to have, yes, the ego. They've given him leave from the nut house, and he's out of hospital. He's tucked up all the nurses and the psychiatrists and all the psychiatric nurses, and he's going to be there on Friday with his good lady. Again, I just need to remind him, you know, what happened the last time when the lion and the unicorn came together. The lion won, and as you know, the lion is English, the unicorn is Scottish, and any form of debate that you'd like to have with me, Ego, and if you don't mind just slowing down just a touch and speaking more clearly so I can understand you. Not that you're not speaking English, you know, but that, you know, that accent, that accent, you know, that one that comes from up north. And again, I need to be educated where Scotland starts. And I'm sure he's going to advise me, the ego, on Friday. So if you want to listen to a conversation between an Englishman and a Scotsman, you could hear that on Friday. Should be fun. Friday show, not sure what time it's going to start. It's either going to be 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. We will be out here. We'll be doing some live broadcasts for you. But if you want to listen to an Englishman and a Scotsman going at it, and guess what? The boss man with his piles is going to be sitting in the middle. Just making sure that we don't get a rerun of the Lion and the Unicorn. Not, of course, we all know what the outcome of that is and was and will always be, because the English are the lions and the unicorns are always set up for flight, because they are descended from horses, and horses God only gave horses the ability to run. Not that I'm being negative at all to people that, you know, wear skirts and throw bits of timber about. But at the end of the day, they you know, when you think about the people that wear skirts, etc., and you know, paint their faces, I mean, it's no different to makeup. You know, and wearing a skirt, I know they call it a kilt, but then again, you've got the other side of the fence there. So not being disrespectful to anyone. I mean, the English, you know, with jingle bells around their ankles and running around a maypole and doing a funny little dance, but at least, you know, we've all got our little quirks in life, and we've all got our own cultures. And I love every part of the Scottish culture. You know, I'm only taking a mick out of you. Love it to death. You are more than entitled not only to wear a kilt, but to play the bagpipes. you are more than entitled to be 100% proud of your country. And I'll tell you one reason why I'm proud of Scotland. Because the 1.5 million votes for Brexit in Scotland got England out of the European Union. And I will always, always, always be immensely grateful for that. So again, listen in on Friday. I'm sure you'll hear some tongue-in-cheek humour, hopefully, and you will think it's humorous. No doubt I'll have the jihadis and the Scots after me after this. And I did say Scots, not Scotch. Yeah, there is a difference between a Scot and Scotch. Scotch you drink. A Scot is someone who stands there with a skirt on. Right, that's it, people. Love you and leave you. I think I've covered everything off. I didn't really want to be on there for this long, but I'm hoping everyone got out of this what they need to get out of it. I do need everybody to share these links, especially when they're live. Give me loads and loads of love hearts. I'm hoping you've enjoyed this conversation. I am absolutely grateful for every single person that listens to these shows, that goes forward. I will promise you with my hand on heart, yeah, 110%, yeah, that we will take this country back. And we will take this country back, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And we will take it back for the people. Remember that. We are all proud of our 4 nations, but we must respect that we are 4 nations. And we can take the mick out of each other because we've done it for centuries. The actual working class people don't mind that. You know that and I know that, right? But what we need to do is make sure, and again, I'm going to finish on this for people. I may take the mick out of the Scots, and they take the mick out of me, to be honest with you. But I'm going to say this. Without the Scots and their 1.5 million votes to leave the European Union, yeah, England would have been lost. And those 1.5 million votes was literally saved our nation. And you must have 100 respect for Scotland. And once we take back control and have the control of law, we need to look at everything that we can do to bring Scotland back under the rule of law for the people. The SNP, you need to dismiss them. In fact, you need to dismiss all of the political parties you've got up there. There is only one type of party, and that's a party that stands for the people, literally for the people. Yeah, that's what your job is as an MP, is to stand for your constituents and your country, not to have any, any other issues, and certainly not to be going against the English in the way that the SNP have, who have, by the way, got a Nazi history. That's it, people. Thank you very much, and I'm going to sign off again. Love you and leave you. Hope you like this this live show. A live video. And I'm hoping the sound has been fine. So that's it, really. I am off. Thank you very much. Don't forget every bit of your support. If it's not in monetary terms, if it's in thumbs up, it's in love hearts, every bit of that, sharing the information, sharing the videos, getting this message out, getting the message out to follow us on motivateradiofm.co.uk, because we will make major announcements, 1 on the live feeds and 2 on this situation. The next thing we're going to do very shortly is take control of a Crown building. If you want to be part of that, you need to make sure you've sent off your forms, all right? Because we are standing. It's about intent, yeah. Legally, it's about intent, and the fact that you are standing under common law, no loss, no harm, no injury. What that does is it tells me as well, when you bring a copy of that with you to an event, that I know that you have sworn the oath to cause no loss, no harm, no injury. Right? So it helps everyone. Thank you very much. Love you and leave you. Be lucky, and I'm going to be off now to start finishing this judicial review. Don't forget, this is about the rule of law. Yeah? No loss, no harm, no injury. Okay? See you later, and don't forget, keep them filled. Thanks.